Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2 is a contradiction. On the one hand, I can't stand the idea of Miley Cyrus being in my favourite TV show, similar to when Ed Sheeran showed up in Game of Thrones. On the other, her transformation as a celebrity is interesting to me, and it's clear there are parallels between this story and her experience as a Hollywood superstar. We bear witness to an expose of the hideous beauty standards seen in Los Angeles and how record companies just need a narrative to get people to buy albums and concert tickets, even if their star is in a coma. Maybe I'm just a Charlie Brooker shill, but I still enjoyed this episode overall, despite it being one of the most poorly received episodes of the show. And I am gonna discuss certain things about this episode I didn't like, so if you can't stand the idea of criticism, you're watching the wrong series. Now that I think about it, this episode makes Metalhead look Oscar-worthy in comparison. The episode's contradictory nature stems beyond my own biases though, right down to the very construction of this episode, which we're going to discuss today. This is sadly the last Black Mirror episode to analyze for a while, but you crazy people that watch my crazy content on here fill me with a sense of purpose. I strive to upload as much content as I can, which ends up leading to totally random ideas that never actually make it onto the channel, but now those trains of thought are finally able to become a reality. You guys all know about stories, right? They're everywhere, on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, but they fizzle away so quickly that they never seem to have real value. This is why I've hooked up with Amino, an app with stories where I can exhibit my random thoughts and unseen content. I'm currently making a story based on the creative process I'm undertaking to make this very video. Sort of like a behind the scenes experience, if you like. Click on the link in the description or simply search Amino on your app store and get the app today, where you can see my stories simply by searching my channel name. Follow me and click the bell just like on YouTube so you can be notified whenever I upload content on there too. The best part though is that every time you watch my content on Amino, you'll be supporting me financially. If you like my content, this is a simple and free way of helping me continue to do what I do. Now, without further ado, let's get on with the review. The first thing that needs to be mentioned is this song, On a Roll, that we hear throughout the episode. Needless repetition aside, her main song is a reimagining of Head Like a Hole by Trent Reznor. The song has had positivity and a charty beat added, just like when Ashley's in a coma and they transform a rage dream, which itself sounds like 9 Inch Nails, into a pop song. I'm willing to put aside my grievances with this song being kinda unoriginal because the lyrics of the original song reflect the nature of the music industry. By taking a pre-existing song and turning it into a poppy charty piece of crap, I'm bound to be upset, but it fits in with the narrative. The type of thing Trent Reznor typically sings about is what Ashley feels inside, and evidently wants these themes to come through in her music, but because she's trapped on all sides by her manager and her team of producers, this doesn't become a reality until she's broken free in the end. Later on, Ashley's seen on a talk show advertising the new Ashley 2 doll. I find it quite sinister how Ashley describes her music as coming from dreams, not only because it might not be true at all, tying in with the positivity and image aspect of her celebrity status, but also because the phrase testifies to how insidiously planned out her music career is. In the conversation Aunt Catherine has with the producers, they're making plans for years to come, so transforming her into a dreaming, screaming pop idol was probably in the works long before the events of the episode. This idea is also manifested in the other Ashley O song we hear at the end of the episode, where the first line of the chorus is stuck inside a dream. What the episode is saying here is that she has now become a product of mass merchandise and ticket sales instead of a talented human being. This distinction is also drawn by how dull and depressing her giant Hollywood home appears in its presentation. Compared to the bright lights and colors of the studio, the cloudy morning sunrise complements her awakening into another day of sadness. Her own clothing also reflects the monotonous and lonely existence she now occupies, just like in Striking Vipers. Ashley then plays a sad song on her piano, which is another Trent Reznor cover, the song being Right Where It Belongs. This song matches brilliantly with her aunt creeping up behind her, as though the lyrics are what Ashley honestly wants to ask her. Looking in reflection, seeing through the cracks, it's the perfect song for a Black Mirror episode. The lyrics of the two Trent Reznor songs were altered by Charlie Brooker himself, and many thanks are credited to Trent, just so you know that this isn't just a shameless rip-off. There's one more nod to Reznor inside Ashley's diary. Before her concert, a page shows a scribble of "Am aware this diary is like the opening titles of Seven, but what the hell," which funnily enough has a remixed version of Trent Reznor's song Closer playing underneath it. I think this is probably the final nail in the coffin, ha ha ha, 9 Inch Nails, for this argument of using Trent's work. Charlie is essentially saying that if David Fincher can use remixed 9 Inch Nails songs in his work, so can he. Don't feel too disheartened if you didn't pause to read all the diary entries we see. Most of what is written inside is read out by Catherine during the takeout scene anyway. Outside the realms of celebrity land is the simple existence of Rachel, Jack, and their dad. They have a rather typical introduction. A girl too shy to try out a talent contest gets picked up by her embarrassing parent, and her only escape is her favorite pop idol. We understand the strained relationship and lack of a mother figure by having Jack remind the father of how soon Rachel's birthday is. The girl's mother died a couple of years back, and the family has only just moved to town. I presume they couldn't afford where they were living, thus why the girls now share a room. So when the dad is suddenly able to afford this Ashley 2 doll for his daughter, I'm sat there thinking, what? But this is probably more of the douchebag dad caricature that they're trying to set up here. He obviously doesn't understand where his money is going. I think there's also something to be said about parents like him who just buy their kids tech to shut them up when their birthday or Christmas rolls around again. Now every goddamn kid in the UK has a smartphone making TikToks around the clock, which I think the episode was also mocking by having Rachel rehearse the dance routine for her favourite song with Ashley 2 and her smartphone. This episode reminded me of 15 Million Merits and how long it took for the protagonist of that episode to save up just so he could get the ticket to the talent show. Now, our first episode focused on a lower class household has no struggle on behalf of the characters whatsoever in attaining this doll. The father gets next to no development from here on too and just bumbles around to fit a stereotype instead of crafting a real believable human being. The talent show also harkens back to 15 Million Merits because of the sexualization of Rachel. It's sort of reversed in this episode though, because instead of receiving positive feedback from the audience, Rachel is deeply hurt and humiliated by her performance. Ashley 2 essentially turns Rachel into a carbon copy of Ashley O, who both share an experience of suffering and identity crisis. There's one more connection to 15 Million Merits, and I promise I'll stop comparing it, but when they show the producers recreating music from Ashley O's dreams, you hear Ashley singing Anyone Who Knows What Love Is. They really love recycling that song, don't they? Ashley 2 is advertised as capable of holding meaningful conversations, which of course is a farce considering the limitation of its programming. This advertisement captures the attention of lonely people, which Black Mirror does tend to focus on. Ashley 2 kind of resembles Amazon Echo, but Ashley 2 actually passes the Turing test because it is able to keep up a conversation with human beings, even those that are repulsed by it. Jack's small interaction with Ashley 2 when she knocks her amp is a good example of this. It shows interest and curiosity towards everything Jack has to say, something Alexa hasn't quite been programmed to do yet. I got spooked though when it said I love to learn, because for human beings, learning is a long and arduous process, but for a machine it comes way more easily. It's able to determine that Jack's music taste is just as trivial as her sister's, because she only listens to music her mum liked. The machine is right on the money, but a human would be reluctant to say this to prevent an emotional response. This leads to Jack making Ashley 2 go to sleep, showing that despite the intelligence jump, human beings are still superior in controlling the technology. This makes Ashley 2 appear rather unsettling when it's off, that it's still listening or maybe even alive inside. As a result of these machines being distributed, Ashley's identity crisis deepens due to Ashley 2 being a far more accurate representation of who Ashley O is in the mind of her aunt. The woman has been forgotten and the character reinforced, a role Ashley plays with reluctance, bored of playing the same old song and dance for her fans. This is reinforced further when Ashley claims her costume makes her feel like she's wearing somebody else's skin, a testament to her inability to separate Ashley O from herself. Catherine even says they're waiting to see the you they love, inferring that nobody likes this human being behind the mask. Catherine continues her crusade of control as she entices Ashley into eating takeout with her. I really liked how the scene opened with this shot of Catherine placed in front of the fire, hiding the fury she's built up after reading Ashley's diary. Ashley tries to open up to her aunt about real emotional issues, but the conversation keeps getting steered back to the career. It's unfortunate because the dialogue in this scene suffers from being excessive, peppered with unnecessarily added uses of the word fuck.
Fucking fuck. Fucking fucking fuck. Fucking you. Fucking I fucking hate you.
Fucking bugger!
Things get worse when Catherine starts explaining away what happens if you try to OD on the drugs Ashley's been stockpiling. All you needed to do was have a shot of the tin being opened, have maybe a close-up on the food, and then show Ashley passing out, without waffly dialogue like this in between.
I know how you feel. I know.
I know,
I powdered your pill stash and put it in your food.
The sting of the scene works really well though, with Catherine saying, Ashley, go to sleep. It's just a shame the scene is bloated up with the antagonist explaining her evil intentions to Ashley because reasons. And also, why did the poor little mousie have to be called Harry? 6 months later, and we see this clever shot of Rachel and Jack's home with a cat placed rather deliberately outside. The father is evidently doing such a bad job of dealing with rodent problems that this more traditional method of dealing with rodent problems seems to be haunting the house. We're then shown this awesomely over-the-top media sensation over the whole Ashley O incident, brought and paid for by the music industry and covered up by the media. The quality of the footage is deliberately bad to create a kind of TMZ quickly patched together interview designed to insult the viewer's intelligence. All the operating and extracting songs from the brain seems a bit over the top, but the way the entertainment industry has us hooked on the idea that these performers will live forever is demonstrated best through, I don't know, something like Star Wars. It seems like what Black Mirror is presenting is the next stage in this never-ending downward spiral of bringing stars back from the dead. Sadly, from here, the episode starts going seriously downhill because the technological and horrifying aspects of the music industry that are kind of laced into the commentary of the story get replaced with a Nickelodeon-style rescue sequence. Firstly, the 6 months later jump is rather unnecessary because nothing significant has actually changed. Ashley 2 somehow hasn't run out of battery either. I really wish I had something more constructive to say about the rescue mission, but it becomes so unbelievable and childish so quickly. Jack, who has been the most opposed to this operation from the start, is going along with this ridiculous plan to rescue a pop star she hates. Not only did there just happen to be a Goggins jumper that fit her stashed inside the car, but I'd have thought the guy who probably spends more time in Ashley's house than anybody else, patrolling and guarding her, is gonna know if they have a rat problem or not. And yet, he just lets them in anyway. I suppose one could argue that because the sisters seem totally harmless, Bear wouldn't see them as a threat and totally underestimates them. That's okay. But you also have to remember Ashley's overwhelming popularity with young girls. And here two are on the doorstep. Also, and I found this super hilarious, Dr. Monk has been sitting on the toilet this entire time. I know the home is big and all, but all the talking that's taking place, and he's just been sat on the bog wiping his arse. I'm sure the children would find all this stuff hilarious, but this is Black Mirror. When has Black Mirror been more appealing to children than adults? 2019, apparently. On a more positive note, the corporate event demonstrating Ashley Eternal is really creepy. This holographic manifestation of the star seems to be the next step in terms of live entertainment, and what's worse is it only benefits the corporations that organize all this stuff, thus making live events cheaper and shrinking the actual creativity of the performer to a minimum. The episode drops in quality once again when we return to the girls escaping Malibu. They get Ashley out, and somehow they're also able to get past the gate that prevented them from getting in the first place without issue. Then, pursued by the police, the gang drive into what looks like a car park, only to suddenly appear at the back of this corporate event. What? They knock down a bunch of tables where presumably some snacks and drinks were being laid out, and Catherine then also weirdly starts praying to the floor that she doesn't want to die, and the whole episode ends with possibly the cringiest line ever. What was even the point? I better listen to my niece now, even though she ruined what 6 months of scheming and hard work had been building up to. I'm gonna have to really take some meditation classes now. Thanks for watching. Sorry if I ruined your precious Miley Cyrus Black Mirror episode, but the last act is just painful to watch. Not only because 15 Million Merits does a far better job of what this episode was trying to go for, but because there is just so little to talk about and discuss. Comment below what you thought of Black Mirror Season 5, or join us on the Discord server, where we will continue this discussion.
Song's dedicated to you, Charlie Brooker. You my favorite motherfucker. I told you, didn't I?